Okay, guys, we're going to try this again because I did the whole video and of course I had the microphone off. So this is like take two. So the warm-up is solving a multi-step equations with variables on both sides. This is a review of what we did at the start of the year. You will have on DCCA 2, you will have 4 more questions that involve this. You know what to do. Distribute, combine like terms on both sides, use inverse operations to move the letters to the left, constants to the right, and then solve. So this should be no problem for either one of you, okay? So moving on to slope, rate of change. We're going to do slope and rate of change from graphs, points, tables, and equations, okay? And again, part of this is a review of what you did last year in 8th grade math. So with a few more things added that we'll get to at the very end when we start talking about equations, okay? So graphs of linear equations, slope represents the steepness of a line. This is the important part. Slope is the ratio of the vertical change compared to the horizontal change. It is the rate of change. There are 4 kinds, and this is important because on a test, you're going to be able to look at the graph they give you, and you're going to be able to determine whether it's positive or negative, 0 or undefined. That's the first thing that you need to do because it will help you eliminate answer choices. As you read from left to right, you also look at graphs from left to right. So the first one is positive because as we go from the left to the right, it's increasing. The next one is negative because as you go from left to right, it's decreasing. It's going down. A 0 slope is a horizontal line, and a vertical line has an undefined slope. Here, this is kind of important. Here, you will have the same y's. And here, you will have the same x's. Okay, so that is based on the graph. So here are your examples. In some cases, it's going to be easy. Pardon the dog barking in the background. But what you're going to do is you're going to draw a triangle. The first example they gave you is not what you're going to see on DCCA or STAR, but it's a starting point. You're going to draw a triangle between the 2 points. Okay, first things first, this is negative because it's going down. As you go from left to right, it's going down. So my rise is 1, my run is 3, and it's always, remember, it's rise over run. So because the line is negative, it's negative 1 over 3. That's what I'm going to expect you to do on your assignment. Okay? Going on to this one. This is more how you're going to see it on DCCA and on STAR. You're not going to be given points. So you have to decide where you want to draw your triangle. Most important thing is if I choose to put it here, I don't know what exactly that number is. So you want to make sure you are putting the point, you're putting your point where the grid meets. It doesn't matter. You can do a big one, you can do a small one. It's just a matter of making sure it's where it is on the grid. So I can do that one, then I can come all the way up here and I can choose that point. My rise, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. My run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my run is 10. So the slope is 4 over 10, which reduces to 2 over 5. To show you the difference, I could have chosen a smaller point. I could have chosen this point to this point. I'm still going up 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know it's that because of the scale. Okay? The last example, I will tell you that everyone in all of my classes, all 4 of my classes got this problem wrong. So we're going to pick this point. We're going to pick this point. So there's my triangle. Everyone chose 2 over 3. Can you guess why that is not correct? I will tell you, you've got to look at the scale. I go up 2 spaces, but I'm not counting by ones, I'm counting by 2. So technically, my rise is 4, and my run here, I'm counting by ones, and so it is 3. So the actual slope is 4 over 3. You need to be really careful, and you need to be looking at the scale, especially when we're doing real world applications. The scale isn't going to be always 1. Okay, so that is slope from a graph. You need to remember, identify, is it positive or negative? You need to draw your triangles. It's rise over run. You need to leave it as a fraction and reduce. So that is slope, rate of change from a graph. Next up is 2 points. This, I think, is going to be the most confusing, and if you have access to the Inspire, that's what you want to use, and I'll tell you what keystrokes to use. But basically, this is the slope formula. It's y2 minus y1. It's always going to be y over x. This is also on your reference chart that you will get with DCCA2, you will get with the EOC. So also, what I need you to remember to do is this. You're going to stack your points and you're going to subtract. And I'm going to show you the way it was taught to me many years ago when I first learned slope. Okay, so I'm going to do this example up here where I have more room. I'm going to stack my points. And I'm going to do 4 over 3, negative 1 over 6. And this is the way I was taught. It's delta y, delta just means change, over delta x. It's the change in y, so it's 3 minus 6. Now I do my x's, 4 minus negative 1. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 4 minus negative 1, keep, change, opposite, it is 5. So the slope here is negative 3/5. Okay? It's really important you subtract in the same order, and it's really important you stack them. Today, too many kids were trying to do it without stacking, and they were subtracting the wrong numbers. So stack and subtract. this one, I'm going to go ahead and put this one on top. And I'm going to put the negative 13 on the bottom and 7. It's change in y over change in x. That's to remind myself I'm subtracting y's first. Negative 2 minus 7 over 8 minus negative 13. Negative 9 over 21. Reduce that, it becomes negative 3 over 7. And you're done. So that's how you do both of those. If you have access to the Inspire, this is a trick that we discovered today. You're going to do control divide. And if you remember, that brings up the division bar. So I still need you to stack your points just so that you remember what you're subtracting. And it's going to bring up the division bar. So you're going to put 11 minus negative 7. And you're going to put 29 minus 3, negative 3. And what this is going to do, this is going to give you the fraction in reduced form, so you don't have to reduce it yourself. Because if we were doing this by hand, I would have 18 over 32, which reduces to 9 over 16. But if you use the Desmos trick of control divide, subtract your y's on the top row, subtract your x's on the bottom, it's going to give you the answer as an already reduced fraction. Okay, so I'll leave this one for you to do on your own. Same thing with tables. A table is just a set of ordered pairs. It just happens to be in a table form. What you're going to do here, you can choose to pull 2 points out, stack and subtract, or you can circle 2 points. I'm going to circle, whoops. Sorry about that. I'm going to pick this point, and I'm going to pick this point. You can do any two. I'm always going to subtract my y. So 27 minus 3 is 24. That always goes on top. 3 minus 0 is 3. That always goes on the bottom because it's x, and that reduces to 8 over 1, or just 8. With the vertical table, same thing. And this could be, we're talking about hours to money, and they're asking you to find the rate of change for the number, the pay worked for the number of hours, money earned for the number of hours. So again, pick 2 points. I'm going to pick this one this time, and I'll pick this one. I'm going to subtract going up just because it's easier to subtract. 710 minus 360. I believe that's going to give me 350. On this side, I do my x, same direction. 20 minus 10 is 10. So I have 350 over 10, which is 35. So that is the rate of change. The nice thing about tables is you can choose the points you want to use. If you don't want to deal with decimals, choose this point and choose this point. Again, you're subtracting the y, so 18 minus 9 is 9. 24 minus 12 is 12. And then you're going to reduce it. Okay, so in terms of this problem, because it's talking about hours and inches of rain, the rate of change we could say is 3/4 inches of rain per hour. Okay, so, and again, I will let you do the fourth example on your own. So now we're going to move into the equation part. So for the equation, this right here is the most important form of a linear equation. We also call it calculator ready, because this is the form it has to be in order for you to plug it into the calculator. M is your slope. It's always, if the y is by itself, the m is always going to be your slope. So y equals 2.5x plus 4. My slope is the number in front of x. Negative 1/7. My slope is the number in front of x. When it's y equals negative x minus 8, remember from when we talked about equations, you still have a number there. It's an invisible 1, so my slope is negative 1. And it doesn't matter that it's not written with the mx first. The slope is still the number in front of x. So that's point slope. That's the easiest one. In algebra, we have two more forms of linear equations. We have point slope, and then we have standard. Point slope is when you are given, and we're going to practice this more in the next couple of weeks. It's when you're given a point on the line and you're given the slope. Okay, so here it says right here, m is always in front of the parentheses on the x side. So in this case, this is my slope, negative 7. The point on the line is 2, 3. So, and we're going to practice converting going from slope-intercept to point slope to standard and all of those. Okay, so here my slope is in front of x, so my slope is 9/4. Okay, and I will let you do the third one. The final one is standard form. This is the most challenging for algebra students, but it's really not hard. If you remember from literal equations, we're going to solve this equation. We're going to get the y by itself. And I'm going to show you why in just a second. So I'm going to, just like I do when I solve an equation, I'm going to box my variable. So I'm going to do the literal up here, and then I'll show you to solve this one here. I'm going to box my variable. I need to get my y by itself. To do that, I'm going to do the opposite. Opposite of adding ax, I'm going to subtract ax. So that leaves me with by equals the opposite of ax plus c. Doing it here, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So this one, I'm left with 2y equals negative 1x plus 6. My y is not isolated. I need to divide everything by b. So down with the numbers, I'm dividing everything by b. So I have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. Here I have y equals the opposite of a over b, x plus c over b. So what this means is anytime you're given standard form, and this, now my slope I know is negative 1/2. Slope, when given standard form, there's a shortcut. It's going to be the opposite of a over b. That is slope. So for this example here, this is a, this is b. And if you want to, you can write it down. I know that slope is the opposite of a over b. Well, the opposite of 4 is negative 4. And b is 6. So I know my slope is negative 2/3. I'm going to change this one. I didn't realize I put the same problem twice. So I'm going to say I'm going to change it to 5x plus 15y equals 40. And so you can tell me the slope, knowing it's in reduced form, knowing it's up here. This is how to determine slope. So I'm going to let you do that example. For your exit ticket, okay, finding, this is an actual EOC question. So this is exactly like you're going to see on the STAR test. So what I need you to do is I need you to send me an email after looking at the video. Send me an email, title it exit ticket. Title it exit ticket. Put exit ticket 1010. And then in the body, just tell me what you got. Okay? So for your assignment, which I'm going to scan and I'll attach to an email, I don't know if I'll send it with this, the link to the video, or I'll send it separate. It's going to be 20 questions. You're going to have 8 questions where you're finding slope from graphs, 8 questions where you're finding slope from 2 points, and you're going to have 4 questions where you're going to find slope from equations. And the equations, I need you to remember to solve for y. Solve it for y. Isolate the y, and that will help. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions or need more help. And again, I apologize for the dogs barking, but that's what happens when you have 2 dogs and someone delivers a package.